Welcome to the Infinite Podcast. I'm Melissa Ruiz Vasquez, and I'm here with my husband, Carlos Andres Ruiz. How are you today?
Today, I'm hungry today.
Mm-hmm.
We're fasting today.
Yeah, I was going to say, you want to tell them why you're hungry?
I'm hungry because I'm fasting.
Mm-hmm.
And
Why are you fasting?
why am I fasting? It's a practice that I tend to incorporate into just my life. Easter's coming, so there's a little bit more fasting than the normal. But I do one day out of the week until sunset, and that is one of the harder days of the week.
Yeah.
Because I love food.
You do.
There's very little things that really move me from like my soul and,
Yeah.
and the ability to have a good meal. That makes the fasting tough, but it also helps me. It reminds me that I am more than my body. So I'll read the Bible, I'll journal a lot, I'll listen to music. We talked about music our last episode, and even like this conversation, almost the hunger gets put aside and just enjoy. But yeah, this is a spiritual practice. How about you? Why do you fast?
For the same reason. Just, retweet, no. Yeah, I mean, I told you this before, like, in comparison, I'm a baby Christian, is the way I think about it. So, like, fasting is a relatively new practice for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to incorporate it into this Lent season because I have fasted other things in the past, like maybe fasting like certain music in the part of the day, or currently I'm fasting like my personal social media, which you mentioned that you were breaking yours the other day.
I broke my social media. I'm back.
It was done. Yeah. So kind of I wanted to challenge myself this Lent, do something difficult and that I felt that would kind of like force me to be more in touch with like myself, my spiritual side, and my relationship with God. So
Yeah.
That's why I'm fasting right now.
Yeah.
And I think we listened to recently, not that recent, but to Dr. Daniels, and he mentioned how fasting and
Praying.
how fasting and prayer go hand in hand.
Yeah.
They kind of help each other. So I wanted to essentially experiment with that because I've never purposefully done a full day fast in terms of fasting food.
Yeah. I think I love how the Dr. Daniels breaks it down in there's 3 different ways to do everything, and I do feel that there is a part of it that even if regardless of the religion, you are exercising this reminder that we are more than just our physical reality. And I think when in this podcast we talk a lot about relational intelligence, emotional intelligence, and character development. And I think these are elements that are beyond our physical experience, and they actually, if we become aware of them, they can actually improve our physical performance outwardly. And fasting is one of the things that it makes you more aware of your emotions, and when something triggers you, like things probably trigger me easier when I'm fasting because I'm hungry, and being able to become aware of that like, oh, this allows to increase the volume of the intensity of the emotion, and then my relational side of things, like then is like the emotion with a person might be triggered a little bit more also because I'm hungry, and like I might take it. So it pushes me to separate that I feel agitated easier, but then I get to choose, am I gonna take it out on them, or can I remind myself that it actually has nothing to do with them? If they did this after I had an amazing burger, it wouldn't bother me.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's also a practice that brings out these 3 elements, and and definitely on the character development is the will to do something that sometimes our body is longing for, and so I think it's also a practice in addition to our spiritual. It brings out a greater version of our human experience. So let's get our warm up going. What do we got? What do we got for? So what we've been doing is we take out a card. I'm looking at this camera. We take out a card, and this card is the warm up for the podcast. And normally the card that we pick out is aligned with what we're going to talk about. And today Mel picked it up. She hasn't looked at it. You haven't looked at it, right?
I have not.
You have not looked at it. Okay. Got it. Last time, who read it first?
You read it.
I read it?
Yes.
Oh, yes, I did. So let's have you read it and see what the warm-up has.
Ooh, oh my gosh, that's so funny. Okay, would you rather your partner cook you a meal or pick up the groceries?
Why on a day that we're both fasting?
That's why I giggled. Like, let's talk about food.
Oh my goodness. Talk about character development.
Earlier, before you walked in, I was on my photos, and I have two pictures on my phone from when we were away last week of the tostones I made with chicken, and I was like, my unconsciously I clicked on it, and I was like, why am I doing this to myself? It looks so good, and I was like, I need to put my phone down.
Yeah. You know, it's funny when I fast social media, my photos app becomes my social media.
Yeah.
I just start scrolling through old pictures. But
there.
Anyways, would you rather your partner cook a meal for you or pick up the groceries? I'm gonna pick get the groceries because that process it's just a longer process. You gotta get in the car, you gotta go to the groceries, you gotta make a list. You gotta stand on the deli line. The deli line is the equivalent of the RMV.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. You get a number. Like, it's a painful process.
And the deli line, so you got to stand on the deli line, and you can't if you're going by yourself, you can't get the thing, go continue to do stuff. You got to stay there and wait, and nothing else is getting done. What's your answer?
That's tough. That is a tough question. There is a lot of circumstances in which it might be one or the other, but I guess just flatly, like, which one would I prefer?
I feel like if your partner sucks at cooking, it's easy.
That's true.
But
good thing for either of us. That is not true.
Good thing we can cook.
Yeah. I would say if you would cook, I would rather that you cook for me.
Because?
As much as it's like a love-hate with the groceries, I think, this is about to go so deep. I think I appreciate the ability to choose what is coming home. So maybe I have a control problem.
And maybe on the other hand, I may, with regards to the groceries, I don't have a control problem. So I'll just go and whatever I see that we may need, and that means I'm gonna miss a lot of the things.
See, every time I go grocery shopping, I come back, I'm like, I forgot
something.
This. Yeah. It's always one thing too, and that gets to me so hard. Even though I create a list and everything, I do my little. I have to have the list, but even then, at least it's one thing though. If I don't create a list, then I'm walking around like I'm lost. Like I have to go down every aisle, even though I don't need everything. I don't need every single aisle.
Yeah. Do you go through every aisle?
No, if I don't have a list, it's trickier because if I have a list, at this point, I'm well versed in grocery. So I'm like, oh, I know where this is. I know where this is. So if I see like I never have to go down the water aisle, like the one where it's just a bunch of juices and stuff. I don't even touch that. Don't even have to look at it. And now that we're fasting chips, I don't need to go down that aisle. I'm like, we don't need any snacks. And so it's easier, but if I'm not sure what I have at home, let alone what I need for the next, like the upcoming week, then I'm like, ooh, do I need ketchup? That's a whole other aisle that I need to walk down. It's a science, really. And for me, it's like, I can't stand if I have to go down an aisle more than once. If I'm going down the aisle, I know what I'm going down the aisle for, and I better not have to come back. Especially because I don't want to take the grocery cart and like half the time it's market basket, depending on the time.
So one wheel's not working.
Oh my God, forget it. And then like if it's an aisle where there's a lot of people on it and they're stocking in it,
no.
That's a traffic buildup, bumper to bumper. I don't need to do that to myself. It's already a process to do it. So
and then depending on the day too, like you don't want to go on a Sunday night.
No.
Because everybody's going to buy food.
Yep.
Yeah, the grocery store. When I lived by myself, I actually didn't mind it because I knew that it was something that I had to do. I think that's how my mind works. It's like if I know I'm gonna hit traffic, then I'll plan to sit in the car and it won't hit as bad. So I would have a podcast designated to my grocery shopping, or an album that I wanted to catch up on, or if I'm vibing with a song, that would help me. And it was like a me time. But now, if I'm not ready to go do it, and I don't know that I have to do it in the week, it's an act of violence to my soul.
Yeah.
So one thing that I wanted to maybe we can dive into today is within our three elements of relational intelligence, emotional intelligence, and character development. As a soccer coach, I always have parents reach out to me to help their players on the field, and they want to book one-on-one sessions, and they just really enjoy them. Something wrong. And so they really enjoy how I bring confidence back to the players. And I've realized that they've missed the fact that it's not necessarily the stuff that I do with them on the field, but it's more of the interactions that I have with them. And from doing that over the years, I began to realize that I don't know that my gift is helping soccer players become better or athletes become better. I've come across these 6 words that I feel are more aligned with what I think I'm designed to do. And the 6 words are: help humans walk life, hiding less. Almost everywhere that I go, if this place allows me to help humans walk life, hiding less, I will do this project. And there's something about authenticity that just brings the most beautiful expression of us, and there's nothing more draining than hiding. and so I wanted to maybe jump a little bit into that, and I look at these as one entire sentence, but then because I've looked at them so many times, then each word has had a life of its own. And maybe today we talk about the first one, the first word of these 6 words, help. And I think it's underestimated or undervalued, the power of help. I mean, when you think about the things that happen in the week and your ability to help me get the groceries, or the ability to help me cook a meal, it completely opens up a gap where I could be more efficient elsewhere. And so if I was to ask you, what are some things that you feel you could use more help with? What would you say?
I think that is a really hard question. I think growing up, especially, maybe, I don't know if it's a cultural thing or if it's just certain like personality types or whatever. I feel growing up, the attitude was very much like, oh, I can do it by myself. Like, I don't need anybody. Like, that it's like, I got this. Like, I shouldn't have to rely on the help of someone else, which is probably it's probably coming from someone who's been hurt in the sense of they asked for help and they didn't get the help they felt they needed.
or they feel less, and they
Mhm.
want to. This is an opportunity to prove that I'm
Yeah,
more than what people think I am.
that as well. It could also be like they feel like their actions are like crying for help, but no one's helping.
Hmm.
And so then they feel resentful towards the idea of even asking for help.
Hmm.
Um,
Or maybe the better question would be, I was I was mentoring an athlete, and when we left the conversation, we were walking to the train station, and he said, "Hey, what's one thing that you would have done different when you walked your first semester into college?"
mm,
And I remember that my answer that day was like, ask for help.
mm,
And I told him I was inside of a 800 people lecture hall, and coming from an inner city high school, I have not been prepared to be in this type of environment and catch on to everything that they're telling me, all the content. And so at least in the university, they thought that going from like 800 people to going into a discussion group of maybe 100 people would make a difference.
yeah.
But for me, it was still overwhelming. And I remember that I was like, oh no, in the discussion part of this course, I'm gonna catch up. And it was still just as fast. And the people next to me were following everything.
Mm,
And there was this insecurity in me that like I don't want to make it seem like I'm behind. And all I had to do was like, yo, I missed this. Can you help me with that?
mm.
Um, and not asking the first time made it so that when I did ask him, it was I've missed more. And delaying the ask just made it seem so that I'm gonna ask him for too much. So
Yeah.
I never actually helped. And then there was this other perspective in my mind that I'm like, oh, I'm in college to play soccer, so I
Mm,
don't need help in this situation. But then I realized that I needed to balance those two in order to be able to play soccer. And so I think that was a moment in my life, in transition into college. I was asking for help away from making it easier to walk into this new environment. So maybe the question can be more of, can you think of a time in which you wish that you had asked for help?
oh, jeez. That's also a hard question. I think
You're like, can you help me with this question?
yeah, actually, I guess it's more for me more about mental processes. Um, I definitely think like growing up, I struggled a lot with mental health, um, and I didn't want to ask for help. Like
Because.
I don't know. I think it was a matter of like being really hard headed. My
Mm.
parents always called me really like stubborn and like hard headed growing up. So when I was like in middle school, I was having a lot of like issues, and my parents saw that, and they were like, "You should see the counselor at school." And God, did they try? God bless my
Mm.
parents. They tried. Like my teachers, they tried, but like I would sit there and be
Yeah.
like, like refused,
Huh.
and but I needed it.
Were you embarrassed, or were you it was more like a prideful thing, or?
Maybe. Um, I'm not sure. Even like thinking back at it, I don't. I think it was more of a like they can't help me, so why am I even gonna talk?
Okay.
Like they don't know. Like maybe in a part of it maybe was that I didn't even know what was wrong. I didn't know why,
Mhm.
and I didn't know what I would say. And like I think it was a lot of um, wanting to like play strong,
Mm.
and so like talking about any of that would blow my cover. Like I would no longer be seen.
Mhm.
I'm sure I was in my own
Mhm.
self-perception. I
Yeah.
was strong and like didn't need
Yeah.
anybody like
No, I agree.
type.
That's such a um, narrative that is, at least in my culture, in our culture,
Hmm.
um, being able to no, we can figure it out. When I actually feel that one of the uh, biggest expressions of strength is to ask for help.
Yeah.
An expression of strength is humility,
Mm.
and we don't see it that way, but your ability to tell yourself that I need something to help me puts me at a posture of embarrassment, not good enough. And when you are able to be stronger than those things, the only way to actually prove that you're stronger than those things is asking for the help. and and maybe it's not just our culture. Maybe it's more of a human dilemma that asking for help makes you feel vulnerable. But why is vulnerable bad? You know?
That is what I think takes a lot of strength to be vulnerable. Like that, you're opening yourself up to a world of hurt, basically, and it would be direct. Like it would be almost giving people the permission to be like, I don't like you, like who you truly are, because you're being vulnerable. So it's like, oof, that hurts more than if I'm pretending to be someone and you don't like that person I'm pretending to be. It doesn't matter. Like you don't really actually know me.
Yeah. And I think that's why this first word of this phrase is so powerful, because your ability to ask for help starts to unveil the true you and becoming comfortable with the true you. And I think the reason why we hide things in general, it's because we are afraid to be seen as the true you. And I wonder how many things we would have gotten ahead quicker if we simply just asked for help. I remember when Infinite Ballers first started, we did 5-month virtual coaching, and it was one of my best friends, Ivan Blaskic, and we call him Blagi. And so we went for 5 months in this curriculum, and we would have almost no time to just hang out. And he lives in Croatia, so all of this is happening just on interactions within Zoom. And so every Zoom call for those 5 months, it was yeah, how you doing? But let's go into the content. What are we going to talk about this week? And it was 2 times a week that we would meet with the players. So this whole thing ends, and we get on a call after everything has been done, and it's like, no, this is just finally we get to have a Zoom coffee time, just you and I catch up. We call it Zoom coffee, but he doesn't like coffee, and I wasn't drinking coffee, but it was just the way to be like, hey, you want to have coffee over Zoom, and it would happen. But anyways, there was I think it was the second to last session in the Infinite Ballers curriculum that we were doing, that we were talking, and then out of nowhere, one of the ballers was flying above the Golden Gate bridge. What? And so he had to figure out how to put a background to his square. And so then it's funny because we're trying to deliver the thing, and then we have to see that he's on that. And then out of nowhere, I see Harry. He has a mustache. And then we're like, yo, what are you guys doing? And they're like, no, we're just playing with the settings. We had been in this space for so long. Keep in mind that this was during COVID, and so Zoom was starting to update and to make this experience better. And so we didn't have enough time to go and like play with the filter. But the kid in me was like, oh my God, there's a world of toys. Like
it's gonna like start playing.
I have to act like I am the professor or the facilitator.
No.
So I have this voice like, no, concentrate. Anyways, we go into the coffee time, and then I'm like, yo, do you remember when Marco was flying over the bridge, and Harry like, let's go figure this thing out. And then we were hitting all the buttons, and we we couldn't figure it out. No, we couldn't figure it out. We knew like the simple ones, like you could do like a mirror setting, or you could do like filter, and like not with like things, but just the like color of your skin or whatever. And so then we're in there just trying to, and then out of nowhere, Blagi is no longer in Croatia. He's flying. His background is flying somewhere, and I look at it, and then I was like, damn it, he figured it out before me. And then he said something along the lines of like, this is what happens when you're street smart. And I took that even more personal. I'm like, street smart? But I didn't show it. It was just all in my brain. What do you mean street smart? Like my parents come from Colombia and like I had to figure out a way to get 2 degrees with no papers. This is all the stuff that's inside of my head. You're gonna talk to me about street smart?
I grew up in the street.
I grew up in the street. In fact, and then in my brain, this is me arguing. This is what happens in my brain.
Yeah.
In my brain, it's like, this has nothing to do with street smart. In fact, street smart means that you don't have Wi-Fi, you don't have internet. The fact that you figured this out makes you less street smart than me. None of this was articulated. It was all in my brain. But the reality was that I had to make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
Do I just ask Blackie how he did it?
Yeah.
Can you help me figure this out? Or go to Google.
Like, yeah, I figured it out.
Because he can't see it, and ask Google for help. But the point was that this simple thing, all I needed to do was ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something, it could be the competitive nature or whatever it may be, that we shy away from asking for help to the point that it was simply a filter on Zoom, but I think that those same mechanisms are real in the real world, in work, or on the soccer field, when you don't get the drill and you're like, well, no, I don't want to ask because I don't know how to do the drill, or I don't know why I'm benched, or whatever. Or even as a coach, like you see a player and he's struggling, like, oh, like, you know what, the easy way out is like, let's just replace him and we fix the game. It's interesting because we think that we're here to help the player, but they will help us become better coaches. And me asking you what's going on is actually helping me become a better coach. And so it's just in this intense, almost like, it felt like organic. Like it wasn't like I was like, okay, I'm gonna activate the don't ask for help button. I start from that button and make my way in that direction. So how would you advise, like, let's say we have kids and our kids are struggling and with something, how would you advise them to give themselves the permission to ask for help?
I think approaching it in the way that we're kind of talking about right now, in the sense that asking for help isn't a sign of weakness. In fact, it's a sign of strength. Your ability to ask for help is a sign of strength, a degree of how brave are you to admit, hey, I don't know what I'm doing, or I can't do this by myself, or being able to appreciate other people and the fact that they know what's going on, because it's probably also an ego thing. It like you're saying, kind of in the, what do you mean you're street, like it's that kind of mechanism that we have. It's like, oh, I can't believe they know something that I don't. So we think that we know everything.
Like, and it was my friend. Like, he loves me.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, he would tell you right away. Like, we create these things in our head. So I think approaching it it's not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. And having an appreciation for other people and their knowledge, because like you said, we were talking about this yesterday, it's better together. Like, communities only grow because people ask for help from someone that might know more about something than I do. I'm not going to I didn't learn anything on my own about athletic training. I had a professor who was telling me, yes, we have resources, but somebody wrote those textbooks. Like, nothing that we do is by ourselves. So if our true desire is to grow and be the best, then asking for help is the only way to do that.
And as you say that, it makes me feel that this is not, our inability to ask for help is not maybe a strength problem, but an arrogance problem. Because if you think about the things that we create as humans, for example, ChatGPT, that is this device that we are asking for help. And we don't feel any type of way asking it to do everything that we need. I need to write this sentence better, drop it in there. But it's because we don't feel that chat is going to judge us, or chat isn't a human that people can say, oh, this thing is more valuable than you, because at the end of the day, they're giving you the answers and then you come out as if you came up with it. And so that makes me feel that, one, that gives me hope that we do have a wiring that wants to ask for help. What is maybe broken a little bit is the fact that we don't ask for help out of an internal ingredient of arrogance, which explains a lot of why chat actually works so well. I was thinking about chat the other day, and this phrase of help humans walk life hiding less, and it was so interesting that the thought that came to mind was that people are most authentic with AI. They are more authentic with AI than with other humans because they feel that chat is not going to judge them back. And although there's things that may create deficits from just copying and pasting from chat, there's something unique about sitting in front of something and having the permission to be as authentic as you can, to even just say, chat, I don't know how to spell house. You know, you ever have those moments where like you've seen a word for so for so many times and you just don't know how to spell it? And so like, it's crazy to think that AI can maybe unlock the more authentic version of ourselves, and then the ingredient inside of that is the absence of judgment. And so yes, let's help people ask more questions, but also on the other end, how do we help people feel more comfortable with asking for help? And I think that also is a call to how do I come across, maybe even as a coach, like do I come across arrogant and make it seem that if the way I interact in a training session, players are going to be intimidated to ask for help, versus if within the training session I set up the drill wrong, I'm like, hey guys, hold on, I got this wrong, help me move this cone. It makes them feel that, oh, I also can help him, and therefore I'm not intimidated to ask for help. But yeah, it was an interesting thought that we actually do desire to ask for help.
Do you think these concepts are more, out of the three, which do you think it's more relative to? Like being able to ask for help, is that more relational intelligence, emotional, character development? What do you think?
That's a really good question, because those three coexist and so they're so interwoven. But if I had to just drop it on one of them, I would say it's probably emotional or character. And I think it's because it speaks more of our internal world. It's seen on the relational basis, but it is wired inside. And I think that when you have the opportunity, when you feel permission to ask a stupid question, it's something inside of you that you feel safe, whether it is with that person or you feel safe as within your identity, and you're okay with asking. Yesterday when we were running this training session with coaches, one of the parents asked, how do you do a step over? And how do you do a scissor? And I wonder if there were so many other parents there that had that same question, but that's such a basic move, or perceived as a basic move, that nobody asked. And she asked several questions last night, and I was like, this person has to be brilliant in anything that they do, because they give themselves permission to ask questions. And so I think it will be a emotional, in the sense that I have to be comfortable in my own skin to make a fool out of myself. And then character is more of executing that. And I think those two are a little bit more aligned with the insides of why we ask for help and why we don't ask for help. Even today, actually, it's interesting. When we walked in and my sister couldn't help us, and then I'm like, oh, fingers crossed, Emily. Shout out to Emily. I hope you're feeling better, Emily. And so the initial move is like, no, we're gonna figure out on our own, because I don't wanna be I don't want to bring inconvenience to anybody in the set. And then shout out to Josh, my guy Josh Edward.
Oh
And
no.
he's like, no, I'm cutting this for calling me my middle name. He's like, no, I'll do this, and which made me think that there's another perspective that we should consider, and maybe with our kids, it may help them if we remember the times that we have helped others and how good that feels, and that we carry the ability to make others feel that they can help.
That's good. That makes me think about, I feel like I've seen so many things kind of connected to what I was telling you why about a time that I wish I had asked for help. I think it was Simon.
Cynic.
Yes, he was saying that one of his friends was going through a really hard time. He texted them, whatever. He was like, "How dare you rob me the opportunity to help you?" Because that's all we want to do, especially with our close
so
ones,
true.
our loved ones. Like, we just want to help them. And if you don't ask me for help and I don't know you need help, and later I find out you needed help, that hurts me, because not because it's, I guess in a perspective you can say it's just about me, but I want to be able to help you.
Because I love you.
Exactly.
And it's almost like you didn't believe strong enough in my love for you to be able to give me the opportunity to love you through help.
Yeah. So
yeah.
if your concern is, I don't want to be an inconvenience to somebody else, maybe shifting the perspective of, I want to, this gives them an opportunity to help me.
Yeah. And I know that when I help others, it feels so good.
Yeah.
And I think in that podcast where they were talking about how there's this magical thing about service that unlocks, like if you're struggling, sign up to serve somewhere.
Yep.
And what serving actually is just to help. And we are wired inside to have this stimulation after we help somebody. And so I think that is a proper question to ask also. When I don't want to ask for help, I'm actually robbing humans around me and humans that love me the opportunity to feel the beauty of helping. I like that.
It's almost like you also, the person you ask for help is, you're helping them feel like they're an expert. Like if I ask you for help in something, they're like, oh,
yeah,
you think I can help you with some, like in this arena, like that's big on me. Maybe I don't know how to help you, but I'm like, wow, they think
it's a
highly of
praise.
me.
Help is an act of praise. Like you only ask $1 million from someone who you feel has $1 million. You know, it's like, yo, you got a solution to my problem, and again, it goes back to, I wonder if we don't ask for help because I don't want to show you that you have $1 million and I don't. You know.
Yeah.
So it's one thing that I really think it will unlock, not just on the human level, but when we work with athletes, if we could create environments, or even last night when I was, because when I'm working with athletes, they're a little bit more open to asking for help because I am there as their expert. But when you work coaching coaches, it becomes a little bit more difficult because the coaches have to almost put on a persona that I'm also an expert. And creating an environment in which, regardless of whether it's a coach that I'm coaching or a player that I'm coaching, I'm creating a feeling that it's okay to ask, to understand something that you may not know. And I think the thing that unlocks that is me throughout this training session, making it seem as if you all are also helping me and destabilizing the hierarchy. Maybe on the next episode we dive into the next word, because I do think that there's such beautiful principles to each one of these words of help humans walk life hiding less. And I'm convinced that if we all walked life hiding less, it would be such a beautiful human experience. I'm not gonna ask for takeaways today because I feel like we gave 2 really good takeaways along this. Is there anything that you would like to add to this conversation?
I think something that will help segue into next time is something that I thought of is the ability to ask for help is kind of rooted in how confident you feel about, because if you're worried that you're going to look stupid, but I go into it like I know my intention, I know I'm confident in my intelligence and who I am, then even if the other person doesn't directly say, wow, that was a stupid question, I can't believe you don't know that, then like even if I think they walk away feeling that way, I know that I had the best intention and that's all that matters to me. And I still walked away with more information than I came with.
Yes.
That I think will lead into people, like humans.
Yes.
Because humans and our perspective on ourselves and others is a big part of how and why we do things.
Yeah. I think that it does point to the confidence level. And when a parent is asking me to coach their kid to improve their confidence, it's literally that word that comes up. And for me, the reason I can make a fool out of myself in any space that I walk into is because of the confidence that I have in my relationship with my creator. And I choose to believe that God loves me on my most foolish days and God loves me in the days that I am a genius, or at least I am perceived as a genius. And not only that, but I choose to believe the same about the people I interact with. And so it makes me feel that even when somebody does something that I think is stupid, my God loves them just as much as the kid that's scoring all the goals. And there's something about walking into every space knowing that you're fully loved, that you have no problem asking for help. You know, it doesn't make you less. And so I think that can be a good segue to our next conversation on humans, which is one of my favorite words. Cool. Thank you for this conversation. By the way, if there's one person that helps me the most in this season of my life, and you've taken on to do it for the rest of your life, it is you. So thank you for everything that you helped me with, from the little things like make me a warm chai latte, to getting the groceries, to cooking, to sending emails, to sitting here, to dealing with my stubbornness. And you have this phrase that you say, I don't need to understand you. What is your phrase?
I don't understand you, but I accept you.
Thank you for not needing to understand me and accepting me, and that allowing you to help me in everything that I do. I love you, and we'll see you guys next episode.